Hello, everybody. I'm Brandon Hauser, clinical and transpersonal hypnotherapist and psychic spiritual consultant. Some of you may know me as the Dream Teacher, which that title lends itself to what I aim to do in connecting with my clients, with other people, is helping them manifest dreams into reality. So I am here today. I want to be able to connect with you all and be able to really give some psychic readings to those of you that do come here in the chat. So let me open up this chat here and make sure I close out everything else so that way we are kind of all set to go. Hi there, Champagne. Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome. So I really want to be able to offer some readings for the people that do come in into the live stream here. That way you can have the opportunity to get the information that maybe you are looking for, see how I work. I just really like to do it. I love giving, first of all, I love giving readings, but I like connecting with people psychically. That is my most favorite thing to do. So this is my second stream. The first one was, I thought it went great until I watched it over, and then I had some people in the comments talking about how there was some echoing in the mic. So let me know on your end if everything is sounding good. If you are listening in, I've done some good tests, and I feel like I finally have everything in motion right now. So this is the second live stream. Welcome. Again, just a little bit about myself, because maybe it wasn't clear in the last show. Maybe it was an echo, or maybe things were going on. So I have been working as a psychic professionally for over 11 years now, working with different entities, companies, etc., working on my own, taking my own private clientele as well. And then I have 3 degrees in hypnotherapy. I have hypnotherapy degree, clinical hypnotherapy, and transpersonal hypnotherapy. All that transpersonal hypnotherapy is basically the spiritual end of things. So that's doing like past life regressions, life between lives, things of that nature that have a more spiritual understanding and foundation. Because what happens often is when we get into the realm of the subconscious mind, the unconscious mind, a lot of faith and belief-based not issues, but situations, ideas, beliefs, they really become present when we are in the subconscious. And that is because that subconscious is what contains the collection of all of our emotions, our memories, our beliefs and feelings, the ideas that we have about our own self. Really think about the brain as a computer. It is the ultimate computer. It is programmed with all sorts of different patterns and behaviors that are sometimes consciously or mostly unconsciously acted on. We don't even know sometimes what's back there. So when we do get into the subconscious, oftentimes, some intense ideas come through, and that those ideas have a lot of basis or a foundation in some kind of beyond physical understanding. So that's why I really enjoy the transpersonal aspect as well. Being spiritually based, being, psychically aware, and working in the spiritual field for such a long time is such a great integration of these two things for me specifically. So what this allows me to do is really, having the psychic component, it helps me to identify, feel, and pinpoint the emotions, sensations, things that are going on internally. Thank you, Champagne. Sound is perfect. Awesome. But also, when we identify these things, sometimes people feel ready to create some sense of transformation in their life, whether they want to transform their beliefs around something specific, especially about themselves, or, if they really want to get to the roots of some kind of issue, behavior, attitude, emotion, we can really go in. We can identify it with the psychic awareness, and then also go in and work on it, with hypnotherapy and being able to work with the subconscious mind. So I really enjoy blending these two things together quite frequently. And honestly, I've been having a lot of talks lately with people about consciousness. I did like a little bit of a session with a close friend of mine where he was asking about the certain levels of consciousness and how they can relate to your day-to-day life, what's going on with where you feel you are, and the state of mind that you feel like you're in. So let's just kind of go through a little bit of an example. So gamma, if you're in the gamma state of mind, you would be probably very tense, stressed, nervous, have anxious feelings. You'd probably have really quick, short, shallow breaths. And that would be like right in the top of the chest. I mean, you can even induce these kind of states based on the use of the breath. So if you wanted to just try and see what it feels like to be in gamma, right? All you would do is just take short, quick breaths in the very top of your lungs. It goes something like this, like, and you can immediately feel the temperature of your body rising. You can sometimes feel the quickening of your pulse, your heart rate. You can hear all these different things. Oh, let me put that on mute, so that way we don't hear all my emails coming in. You can literally change, the state of your being. A lot of times, when you're in fear, that's the kind of breath you're having, very short, quick, shallow breaths. But if you take the inverse, so that would be gamma, right? If you take the inverse and take a nice, slow, deep breath, breathe in through the nose and exhale through the mouth, you immediately shift the states that your mind is in, but also your body. So I was just having these conversations about how breath really is such a direct link to consciousness and how you can manipulate or influence the level of consciousness that you kind of are currently at. So I really like to use that. That's why you see all these things in yoga or meditation about centering on the breath. Hone in on your breath, allow some calmness to enter your body through the breath. That's because we have such a direct control with it. If you think about it this way, the breath is something that is governed or controlled by the conscious mind. You can consciously think to breath, or the subconscious mind. You can completely forget about breathing and still breathe because it's something going on in your subconsciousness. So it's that direct link, I really feel like, for a lot of people to be able to flow into different states of consciousness that they want to experience. And I do feel like that's one of the bigger goals or purposes of being a human, being a person, is to figure out or change or evolve the levels or layers of consciousness that you experience in your day-to-day life. So for example, for me, I am often, especially when I feel centered and grounded, which I strive to do that, on a daily basis. But I'm also human, I have things that come up that I have to deal with, etc. So I'm not always in that perfect state, but I am often in a state where I am conscious and subconscious at the same time. And that's part of what I think being psychic and giving psychic information is about, is that you need to allow these streams of thought, of energy, to be able to enter into your perception, your consciousness, your reality. And so being those two things, being conscious and subconscious at the same time, gives you a much broader scope of perception. So for example, let's look at champagne here. So would love a love reading. Just would love a reading, period. All right, so for example, let's kind of do this here. So what I'll do is I sit first, I connect with your energy, and then I'm blending my whole self, my whole consciousness with your energy, with your consciousness. I focus and look, around the body. I look at the energetic body. I look at the bouncing of thoughts that's happening, and I look at the emotional state as well as happening currently within you. What's really interesting is I can often pinpoint emotions, and I can feel them, I can sense them, and they're usually connected to things from the past. Also, subsequently, they're related to ideas about the future as well. So it really is I think it's a beautiful level of connection. And that's what I talk about in my description, that when anybody, when you consider psychism to be something of value or real in your life, you're essentially honoring the soul. You're saying, okay, I have a soul and there's something going on here. Maybe there's information that's buried or things that I need to connect with or figure out in order to be able to get to a better understanding of myself or my life. And really, it's coming down to a deeper understanding about self. So for example, champagne. let's take a look here at you and your energy. So 814, Leo, Champagne Leo. Right away, I love this energy. I feel like there's such, generally speaking, especially with Leo, there's definitely a lot of pride that's taken in the things that you do. And that's the point of Leo. Leo is the zodiac sign of standing in that spotlight and seeing oneself with that light. You know, it's Leo is related to the sun in astrology. And having that relation, obviously the sun is expansive and big and energetic and bold, and without it, life would cease to exist. Very similar to a Leo energy. I know the Leo energy pretty well. I have in astrology, my natal chart, I have a Leo moon. So my internal reflection, my the view within myself, my emotions have that Leo quality to them. They're very expressive. You know, when I am happy, I am happy. I am joyous. When I am sad, I am, downtrodden and heavy. And it's just, I enjoy this aspect of myself because I feel like I get to experience a full array of emotion, every color of emotion that I possibly can. So this is why I really appreciate the Leo energy, because it's just, it's charismatic and dramatic, and I mean that in a positive way. You know, life is drama. There are things happening. If life isn't happening, it's boring, which I think a lot of people are feeling right now just because of being stuck and isolated at home. But life is meant to be lived, right? It's meant to be colorful and flavorful and experienced. So I definitely appreciate that. So let's look at your energy. Let's look at what's going on with you, Champagne, and let's just see what I kind of pick up in general just from connecting with your energy. And we'll see if there's anything that we can go deeper from there. So if anybody else is listening and they do want a reading, just go ahead and throw your first name and your date of birth in the chat. You don't have to do the year if you feel uncomfortable about that. If not, that's totally fine. It gives a sense of relatability. I was born in 89, so now we feel like everybody's a little bit more open or vulnerable. And that's also a big point to psychic reading as well, is that I often tell my clients, I am sitting here and I am opening up my whole energy, my consciousness, myself to you, to experience you and what's going on with where you are, what you're feeling. So in turn, it seems appropriate to be able to do the same thing. So I always tell clients, as much as you open and allow yourself to open to me and be vulnerable is going to be the depth that I'm going to speak on connecting with you. Now, for me specifically, I really have noticed that I have an ability to be able to really penetrate deeply into a lot of people's energy to the point where it has, it makes people uncomfortable sometimes if they haven't dove into themselves in that equal amount of depth. So that's why I say I can only speak to, what you open up, because the reality is when I connect with you, I am essentially weaving through all your experiences, all your emotions, the things that collectively make up you. But as far as communication and speaking, having a connection or session one-on-one, it's important for you to allow yourself to open up to the level in which you want to receive information, right? It should make sense. It feels like people understand the symbiotic nature to psychic reading. So Champagne, let me connect here with your energy, 814, Miss Leo here, and see just what's going on around you and where you are. All right, Champagne, give me a moment here to pull your energy in and for us to be able to blend together so I can pick up on what I see happening here. So Champagne, what is currently going on in your energy? You may see me do random things. My eyesight may change. I may focus on different moments, but that's just me kind of centering in, finding the thoughts, pinpointing the energy, so I get a good feel of where you are. Champagne. Okay, so right away, Champagne, when I connect here with your energy, I get this feeling that there is the first thing I feel is like a a joyous energy of wanting to share life with others. I feel a lot of great social energy. What I'm really feeling right now is that there is friction with socialness. Again, it could be quite simply because of the state of the world is in right now. Maybe you have this upset frustration with not being able to go out or be social, and perhaps it's starting to make you focus on your own self a little bit differently, because the other thing I keep seeing in your energy is this clear, intuitive notion of creating self-definition. I feel your energy becoming stronger in the convictions, beliefs, or understandings about who you are as a person. So it feels like you've been doing some self-reflection, internal reflection about yourself and what's going on in your life. I see you specifically considering your image and the way that you look to other people, but I also see, as a result, you considering and questioning, pieces and moments of your path where you're wanting things to go, and also who you're wanting to connect with. That's another thing. For whatever reason, I keep being shown this vision of you leveling up your social circle. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure if you are in some kind of position or work or networking or connections that have to do with the level of people that you surround yourself with, but I feel that there's something important about it. I just keep seeing this vision of you really networking with important people, and these connections, they further, I want to keep saying furthering a career, but there's something about your energy, Champagne, where I'm looking at the aspects of your life, and for some reason your socialness and your career seem to coincide with some kind of a passion, and it doesn't really feel like the work that a lot of people I think feel. Oh, you're a reader. That makes absolute sense. Okay, that makes perfect sense here. So if you're connecting with other people, very much focused on social connections and networking with other people, it makes a lot of sense that you're honing in on your identity, right? And this is something that I feel is important for every person that is some kind of a reader or psychic or advisor of whatever kind, is that you absolutely have to know yourself in order to be able to connect with other people. That's why I think it took me so long to be able to get up here on YouTube and to do live streaming, is because for the majority of my 20s, it was all about finding myself. I for so long lived in the light of other people, and I felt like there was some kind of responsibility to do that, because I just connected with them so deeply, and I felt like I had to live for the ideas and feelings of other people. But now, being 30, having gone through Saturn return, which you have as well, Champagne, thank goodness, right? Now that Saturn return is over, now there is a certain sense of definition that does happen. You want to be the best one? Well, absolutely. And honestly, the only way to be the best is just to be authentically yourself, no matter what. Everybody reads differently. And that's something else I think is interesting, is that every single psychic that I have come across who is authentically or genuinely psychic, they all connect differently. There are some radio shows that I had done in the past. I'd been doing online radio podcasting for about 10 years. So that's why I switched over here to YouTube, because it's just a better platform. I would have other advisors on, and we would all, both or all three of us connect with the same caller. But what was so interesting is that we were all connecting with the same energy, but our understanding, our interpretation, and our communication about this energy would come out differently with a different perspective. So it's interesting, we're all connecting with the same thing, but the way in which it comes out can definitely vary between each advisor. But that's the whole point and importance, is to be able to authentically be yourself. And I feel like, to me, I really feel like you should have gone through your Saturn return to be an advisor. So for those of you that are listening in that may not know, Saturn return is when if you map out your astrology natal chart, Saturn is in a specific position within the wheel of the zodiac at the time of your birth. So around 28, 29, 30 years, Saturn makes a full revolution around the zodiac. And arguably, this is when a lot of, especially astrologers, but also a lot of people believe that that is when you really become the mature adults, that you're supposed to be and meant to be. And I personally really feel that I have a really strong Saturn in my natal chart. So I have known for years, because I've been in the spiritual community for a while, and this was something that was thrown around and talked about often, that I needed to prepare for my Saturn return. Granted, nothing can ever prepare you for it. I really had a nice seamless flow through. Like, there was nothing that was massively detrimental. I mean, I was mountain biking, and I did fall off of a bike. And kind of shattered my wrist. But I've also broken quite a few bones in my past, so it wasn't anything that was too extreme or crazy. It's just this time I had to actually have surgery for it, and I was put out of consciousness, which if you can imagine, I'm a hypnotherapist, I'm a psychic. I do not like to be out of control of my consciousness. Anesthesia for me was the weirdest concept and experience. It was like, oh my gosh, this is a chemical that is putting me out of my mind. It was so weird. It was so strange. It was the weirdest thing. I appreciate its use and importance for medical purposes, but my goodness, I did not enjoy being put out of my consciousness. It's a very weird feeling. It really felt like when they put me into took me out of consciousness with anesthesia, it felt like I blinked my eyes and it was hours later. And I don't know about you, but that was really strange. I feel like I am getting more higher to my vibration. Something to like an advisor. So true. Saturn in third in Sag. Woo-wee. Yeah, that is an intense one. I feel like Saturn in Sagittarius really has to learn by experiences. Sagittarius being the sign of acquiring wisdom and knowledge through experience. And then being able to teach it to other people. It's like they have to go through this. Nobody can really tell them how to learn what they need to learn. They have to go through it in order to be able to fully understand the idea or the concept, the feeling, emotion, consciousness, etc. And then that's when they're going to be able to apply it. So I absolutely imagine, that could definitely kick your butt having that placement. Always wanted to get hypnotherapy. It's not around here. Oh, in Washington. I know I'm a part of a network of hypnotherapists with the school that I went through. We all kind of stay in somewhat touch, but there is like a resource data bank where they have each hypnotherapist that's gone through the programs and is qualified, graduated, degreed, etc. In each of the states. There might be somebody in Washington. I can definitely get information if that's something you're really trying to do. But if you're ever down here in Austin, and if we ever can be social again in person, which I know we will be able to, just being facetious because it feels like this is kind of lasting forever. Then if you're ever down here, I'd be happy to guide you through hypnotherapy. I do have like hypnotherapy tracks. I have one that's up on my website right now. For those of you who are listening in, if you want to explore the website, it's thedreamteacher.com. I have one up there, and I have to tell you, when I made this, I actually feel that this was made. All right, so let me tell you what happened. So I was doing a meditation on the new moon. It was a new moon meditation months ago, back in like October. And I was doing this meditation about the network that I'm building. And all of a sudden, this stream of information just channeled into my brain. It was like, Brendan, you need to make something that helps people deal with fear and intense anxious feelings. And I'm like, why? Right? I'm like, okay, why? What's the point of this? And I wasn't really given a point. I was just told that I needed to help people with fear and very anxious, intense feelings. So I started. I got on my MacBook here, opened up Logic Pro, and just started going in on some soundscape sounds ideas, and I started building something that seemed really internal almost, but it was like the experience was amazing because I just kept experimenting and looking for sounds and different things that created some kind of impact or triggered me in some kind of way. And I have to tell you, this soundtrack that I created just channeled through me in the most interesting way. It was so beautiful. I was done with it in about a week, 2 weeks. It took me about 2 weeks of about, I don't know, it was like 15 hours a day working on this thing. It's 45 minutes long. And what I did is I ended up creating this hypnotherapy track that allows you to go into the subconscious mind. So you go into a delta state. So if you are looking at it or considering purchasing it, it does put you to sleep. And I put that warning on the product description itself. It will put you to sleep. So do not listen to it if you're driving or need to pay attention or stay awake. It will put you to sleep. It has, every time I listen to it, it always puts me into subconsciousness, like a total subconscious state. Now, sometimes my consciousness floats in and out, but oftentimes the past, let's see, I just listened to it about a week ago. The last time I listened to it, I mean, I created the track. I know the components, I know the way it flows, but I can't even tell you I remember listening to certain parts. Like they're just gone from my mind. I don't even remember. But just so you know, it is something that allows you to get into the subconscious mind and to really help to allow emotions to just flow through you. I like to call it an anesthetized healing, where you don't have to be fully conscious if you don't want to be, to heal some of the things that are within yourself. And really, it's just healing the emotions. And why do we want to heal emotions? So that we can continue our day-to-day life of achieving whatever goal we want to be able to achieve. Let's see. I feel like it would help me oh yes, hypnotherapy would definitely help you get through blockages. I was saying I go through karmic relationships. In my readings, I apply my lessons I've learned. So that's actually very true. One of the signs, and I feel like everybody should know this, if you're listening in, if you are not familiar with the realm of psychic readings, I feel the mark of a truly evolved person, but the mark of an advisor that I personally would trust is an advisor that can take their own advice, that can see the connections in what's going on in their life and take that advice. I think a lot of people, I've been in this realm of psychic reading for a long time, and I've been on quite a few networks, and I have to tell you, there are all sorts of advisors out there that I really caution people. I caution them to question the validity of, because there are advisors that simply, they won't take their own advice. There are people that are scam artists that give all of us a bad name. Those people that do the cold reading techniques, or they do, I don't even know what else it is. I know that cold reading was like a big one, but I just know that there are people that kind of facilitate the illusions of their own mind and try to superimpose them onto other people as if their own issues are what's happening to their client. And that's a big no-no. You have to go in every single reading, every time, and connect fully, authentically, and vulnerably, and not transpose your own problems or issues onto other people. I see that happening so much. So it's just really important to be centered within yourself, but to also find somebody who is, practices what they preach. Because if they don't, that means that what they're telling you, they might not even believe in. So how can you trust that? It's such a difficult realm, and that's part of what my work is, that I want to be able to do, is to help people see what real professional psychic reading even looks like. So let's see. Yeah, that's what I was going through. Karmic relationships, and in my readings, I apply lessons I've learned. Yeah, karmic relationships, those are absolutely a thing. Those can be quite intense, but beautiful nonetheless. I have a question for you about my son. I feel he's gifted. he is having so many issues school-wise, etc. He's been diagnosed with ADHD. Can you input on it, please, or ways I can help him? That's how I feel. So ADHD. Now, what we know, I mean, let me just give this general disclaimer here. I am not a medical practitioner, and I do not have any license or degree to practice any kind of medicine. So this information does not in any way substitute for information from a licensed medical practitioner of the healing arts. I do work in the realm of the mind, and I do have degrees in study and a long time of study with what goes on with the mind. So I do want to speak to that because ADHD is something that it seems to be an issue of the mind, quote unquote, the way I perceive it. So I'm just going to tell you my perception here, Champagne. And hey, AP, yeah, I will absolutely connect with you here. Just give me one moment. If you could put your first name and your date of birth in the chat. You don't have to put the year if you don't want to. If you do, absolutely fine. But just your first name and the day and month of birth here. So, Champagne, my perception here and what I understand about ADHD is that there are a lot of synapses of the brain happening, okay? There are many different thought trains that can be hopped on at a moment's notice. So most people, when you're thinking about their brain or their thoughts, they are having a one train point of focus usually. With people that have ADHD or ADD, the diagnosis is that they can't focus, right? That they're kind of all over the place. They're hyperactive. Maybe they can't even sit still or control their body, so they're always, incessantly moving or tapping or doing something, or they just can't seem to focus on one thing in front of them. So what I feel is important is that because there are so many different thought trains, the way in which they need to learn, the way in which they need to engage in the environment is to have multiple points of interest to focus on. That's why I feel that so many kids have difficulty in school when they have ADHD, because even though, yes, they have different subjects that they have to study, they're still in the school, in the classroom for a very, for them, lengthy, dedicated amount of time to focus on that one thing. They need to be able to jump to something within a few moments notice, within a few minutes sometimes, to keep that sense of stimulation. So I don't feel personally that there is anything wrong with ADD or ADHD. What I do feel is that I think so many kids are medicated, so many people are medicated to fit into whatever social construct is out there. So for example, school. I feel like a lot of the reason that doctors and parents have agreed to decide to put a child on medication to help them with their focus is so that they can fit into the world and society in the way that it is constructed. But as we're seeing right now, there is a shift in the construction of society. There is a shift in the way that we all hold onto societal norms and constructs, the things that we all do together. So that shift is already happening, and there is going to be something that hopefully gears all child's needs and the way that they need to be able to learn and engage with the world individually, with each child in mind. I think for a lot of kids, this whole online learning thing is happening for everybody. At least in the States, it's happening for a lot of people everywhere. And I feel that, it absolutely can be beneficial, but it does depend specifically on the child and the environment, that is around the child. So I feel for you, Champagne, what's really important is to be consciously aware of the environment around him. Things absolutely need to be stimulating for him. I feel like maybe, I know for a lot of people that have ADD or ADHD, there's a tendency to play games, video games online or on the computer or on a station, what do they call that? System, console playing. I know that that's a very great way to stimulate the brain. And I feel like using games in a learning environment or in a way to be able to learn things could be really, really beneficial. And hopefully that's something that a lot of teachers and people keep considering. I know that when I was in school, there were games that we had done that were educational and that we used, and they stuck. Just like song and rhythm, those things stuck in my mind. Like, for example, I remember being in French class. I can still remember the, what is it, the conjugations. For each different sex of the word. So, and my teacher made up a song that went like with Old MacDonald. It was like S Zent. I remember that, and this is what 15 years ago. I still remember that perfectly. Oh my god, that's what he does, play games on Xbox. Yeah, I understand, and I just see that. I see it's very, very common. And I kind of sensed it here with your son as well. And I feel like that's such a good outlet here for him. What's really interesting, what I keep feeling, this could be for your own personal, like a personal note, something to keep to note in your mind, and maybe something you can help guide him with, is I feel that gaming is going to take on and open up in a whole different way. It's not going to be just gaming and Call of Duty and shooting up people, or the Fortnite or whatever everybody's playing. It's going to be that it's going to create like this whole other separate realm, and you're going to be able to do so many different things. I know it's really strange, but it almost seems like we're headed into, if anybody's seen that movie, it's called Ready Player One. If anybody's seen that movie, it almost seems like we're heading there, doesn't it? Everybody locked in at home, doing virtual meetings online, and then pretty soon everybody's going to have shipped to their house, these Oculus, these virtual reality devices, and we're all just going to have these meetups. We're going to go to the club in our virtual reality thing where Paris Hilton is the DJ or something, I almost feel like we're a few steps away from that. Like, we really could almost even be there. It's nothing that I've, seen as like a vision or prediction of the future, but it almost seems like it's a possibility, doesn't it? Like, it seems like we're only a few steps away from that. So I do feel for you though, Champagne, and helping your son, is that I feel like there's going to be different branches of the gaming world that open up as far as work, career, study, etc. And it really could be a good investment for him as well, because there's so many different things to focus on and do. And I feel like it stimulates his brain. It allows him to really get his hands in there. Not only could it be a point of creation for him, but it is a moment of activity. It's just very stimulating for him. I think he would honestly benefit from things that are hypnotic in nature, because it's going to allow him to really create a strong focus in his mind. That's going to be part of his life challenge as well, is to learn how to center the mind, how to use the consciousness as a singular focal point, because he's kind of always branched out. And that's what I feel is happening with ADD or ADHD, is that the consciousness is always branched out in so many different branches. That's why you can easily get lost on each one and not have that singular point of focus, like a lot of things in society demand us, to have, and how to interact with or engage with. So I think just making sure that he stays stimulated in the mind by having many things to do. And then the thing I feel that's within your control is just your environment. Have things that are stimulating to do in the environment. I also feel a very strong sense with your son, a kinesthetic thing. I keep feeling like certain textures and touches really help to stimulate the brain as well. So for example, like I'm seeing varying textures, shaving cream, silly putty, dowels, like different texture things provide a sense of stimulation for him that help him to decompress. So I feel like that could be very beneficial for you as well. The moments where he may feel very stressed or intense or frustrated or angry, to give him something to be able to stimulate the mind via the physical sense, especially touch. I feel like that could be very beneficial for him and a way for him to be able to decompress. I can see later in his life, I'm not sure how old he is because it kind of feels like he is a bit of an old soul here, but I do feel like the body is younger. But I feel like later in his life, at some point, there's going to be a lot of either running, something very physical, could be working out to some capacity or another. Maybe not weights or anything, but I do feel, cardio, it's going to be able to help him learn how to hone in and focus his mind as well. So that could be something that you could potentially guide him to. All right. So if there's any more things, you can just throw it in the chat. I'm going to connect here with AP, thank you for being patient. Angie, okay, thank you, Angie. And 23rd of July, I believe that is another Leo. You're right around that cusp of Cancer and Leo, but I think that's a Leo here. When does Cancer start on the 20? Or I'm sorry, does Leo start on the 24th or the 23rd? Let me see here. I just want to make sure because I don't want to. But I know it's like right on that cusp. Zodiac sign, 23 of July. Yeah, okay, so it is Leo. It's like the first day of Leo. That's what I thought, and I wanted to make sure. So, but you still really are close to the Cancer sign as well and have maybe certain aspects of Cancer energy. So let's connect here. So you had said insight about future husbands. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect with your energy, Angie. I'm going to connect with you that I tap into your energy. And then I'm going to look at, I'll see if there's anybody that specifically pops out. But I'll look also at the energy of the future husband, what they, I'll connect with them in as much detail as I can get. Sometimes Spirit does withhold certain pieces of information because there's something to be explored or understood. You have to remember, relationships are all about exploring and understanding oneself in a deeper capacity. A lot of people think that relationships are all about getting obsessed with something outside of self, but that is not the case. It really is. Relationships really serve as mirrors. So why I say that is because sometimes Spirit omits pieces of information so that you still go down your path of figuring out the pieces that you need to. So let me connect here with your energy. Hi, Passion Ness. Hello, welcome. So Angie, when I connect with you, let's tap in and see what's going on. Angie, Tanya, I got the Leo energy. Angie. Let me pull your energy into me. We can blend the two of them. More like I kind of come to you or we meet in the middle. So let me connect with you and see what I feel going on around you as far as the energy of a future husband. Future husband. Energy of Angie's future husband. Okay. So I can sense the presence of this person, the idea or the almost image of it. Okay. So here's what I'm saying. First, I see this person as being quite defined. They're strong. I feel them likely even being physically strong. But the one thing that Spirit keeps showing me about this person is that they have the most solid, loyal, reliable hearts. I feel that when they connect to something and when they make the definition or determination, the choice to love or value something, it is for life. It is solid. I can feel this man having even though I can see him being very strong and defined, he has a very clear presence. Like when he is in a room, people know, they just know. It does kind of remind me of a Cancerian person or even a Capricorn person. They just have a very clear, defined presence. But I do feel like there is a little bit of a sort of clouded childhood. It feels like they were either forced to grow up very fast and therefore lost a sense of innocence. And so, what I feel and why I feel this is important is because they're going to be re exploring the childlike nature in themselves in connection of a union with yourself, Angie. So, it feels like it's this. I feel sorry. There's so many things streaming at once. I feel like there's this symbiotic nature between being the childlike selves and the adult selves, and it's like the both of you switch back and forth between both. Because if you think about it, we still are the child that we once were, right? We're still that person. Yes, our body may have changed. We may even have totally different cells and bones and structures than we did, back then. But we still are that inner child, right? We still exist in the past. We still exist in the future. And so I feel that symbiotic nature in the relationship between the two of you of being able to be the adult and the child. And they kind of flow with one another, which makes me also feel like, children float around in the energy between the two of you as well. And it just feels like this very balanced union. You need loyal. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I just felt that energy of being loyal almost first and foremost. It just came through right away. It was like this strong predominance, that intense energy. I think a lot of people may even be naturally intimidated by him. And it could be just because of the vibe that he gives off, and people are like, oh my gosh, I don't want to cross him. I don't want to get on his bad side. I also I keep seeing a longer body. Like I feel like he's likely taller as well. Like I'm saying over 6 feet tall. It just feels like a solid, strong build. It feels like a great energy, honestly, Angie. It feels like it complements you very well because it makes me feel like it gives you the security and stability that you need in a partnership. That's the energy I keep feeling coming over. It feels like it responds well to you. It feels like this guy also has the patience and the security to be able to go through any extremes of emotions that you may feel, any moments of dramatic expression, because they just flow out of you, so freely. Oftentimes, I feel like you may try to hold your emotions back, but they just kind of burst out and burst through anyways. But that's the beauty, I think, in your energy as well, Angie, is that even through the veil of modesty, there is this. Not saying that you're not modest, but it's like I know that you feel like you try to contain your energy and it just spills out. And even in that, I think the beauty is that there is just this raw expression of self, this self that kind of opens up, whether it wants to or not. I think that is. I personally think it's a beautiful thing. Just as I was saying earlier, about the Leo energy, champagne is Leo as well. We got lots of Leos here, which is cool. I think that's part of the beauty of Leo, is to be able to have that expression, to be able to get stuff out there, because it creates movement. And again, it creates excitement and the flavor of life, like I was mentioning before. So it feels really nice, Angie. I feel like this is just a great union for you, because it allows you to see yourself in a different light, knowing that you don't have to fear somebody leaving if you show your true self. I feel like that's part of it as well. But there's also this very clear nurturing nature in you that I just feel like no one has been able to truly appreciate, if that makes sense. It feels like I feel like you have this great ability to nurture. It just feels sensual, and I feel like you've not been able to fully express that with somebody and then have them stay around. It's like they've always done something to either disappear or to kind of mislead you, because I feel a few instances in your past where I feel like you were blindsided by something that happened in the relationship, where they had just made some kind of definition or choice that you had no idea was happening or that you were even a part of. And it was just, I don't know, I just feel you being shocked, like, at least once, but it feels like a couple times that has happened. And so now I feel like this relationship is just somebody who is solid and can be able to withstand storms, to be able to withstand weather. And that feels really important for you specifically, because it feels like that's the proof you need to be able to also show up for your own self. I don't know why, but I feel like, okay, I'm sorry. I might be going too deep. I apologize. I don't, sometimes I just get onto a stream of thoughts and I have to remember to only focus on where people are focusing themselves and what they're asking about and resonating with. I think honestly, it's just such a easy tendency when we're talking about relationships to go so deeply, because they are deep, right? I mean, who here hasn't felt the depth of themselves when having been in a relationship? We've all felt these deep inner pools within the self. And again, that's the nature of them. Their relationships are really good mirrors to understand your own self as well in a deeper way by getting to deeply share it with another. You get to see how they trigger you. You know, what are the things that they do that make you feel happy or sad or loved or appreciated, recognized or unseen or whichever. And why does it make you feel that way? Because ultimately, whatever feelings that we feel, that we go through, whether they're brought on or triggered by another people, they're still happening within us. You know, we don't feel it in this microphone or the shirt or the wall. You know, we don't feel it in other places except within ourselves, right? Within our body or our mind, or sometimes, you know, like within the aura, we can also feel feelings. But that's the point, is that they're still happening internally within us. So of course we're responsible for our own feelings and our emotions and our reactions. And if other people trigger those things, you know, it's either important to find the root cause and to transform that, or, you know, simply get away from that person if it's something less than ideal or negative or that you can't deal with. Okay, good. Thank you, Energy. I'm glad that you're resonating here with what we're talking about. I just, you know, this is public. Anybody can see. And so for whatever length of comfort that people feel. And again, this is my second show being live on YouTube. So I'm just getting to know the YouTube world and YouTube group, which I really hope to kind of create a solid relationship with everybody here. Because I've been on Blog Talk Radio for about, 2009, so 10 years ago. And that was very different because it was just on the phone, and people would just call in. It was a talk show, talk radio, and you could call in and talk and get advice. So this is a little bit different. Even though we're on chat here, I have to figure out if I can add other people like to the calls. I think that might be fun as well. And if you guys are interested, you know, you can say something in the chat, your opinions or perspectives of like, if I were to do a live show and do psychic readings, do people want to be on camera, you know, and talk and have one-on-one with me? Sometimes I feel like that could be fun. I think, or that could be more appropriate maybe for like Instagram, because I think you can do that on Instagram as well, is engage on a call and like accept somebody's invitation to bring them on the call as well, or the live stream as well. This is like my second live stream, so I'm still learning all the ins and outs of it. You're absolutely welcome. You're absolutely welcome, Angie. It's my pleasure. I feel like you deserve this relationship, that it's something that really is, it's going to be solid for you, but honest, authentic. I just see the two biggest things that I see are the strength and the heart and the love that is kind of thrown into this, the way that you both throw yourselves into it. It feels beautiful, and it feels like something that you have been waiting for, but something that I do feel that you deserve. So all the happiness for you. I absolutely know that you're going to be able to find this. And I know that you're going to be able to sustain it as well. Oh, thank you. Thank you for this subscription. I very much appreciate that. I will be here at least minimum once a week. I'll be giving readings here on the channel. So let's see. So where is my passionness? Hi, passionness. Hello, hello. If you are wanting a reading, you can just go ahead and put questions or whichever in the chat. Thank you again for all of those that are here and listening. If you do want a reading, I'm going to be able to connect here with your energy, tap in, and just give a little brief reading, brief explanation of what I feel either going on around you. If you don't have anything to ask and you just want something general, that's absolutely something I can do as well and connect with as well. I can also use cards and things, but I really just like to connect energetically and see what I'm picking up on. But if that's something you prefer as well, because I know cards are fun for a lot of people, and I notice that it's pretty popular here on YouTube is to be able to do that. So yeah, whichever you're thinking about, if you do want some kind of reading, you can just put your questions here in the chat. Of course, if you do put a question, just put your first name and your month and day of birth in the chat. You don't have to put the year, but you absolutely can. However, whichever level you want to open up in that you're giving your information out in public. So feel free, to go ahead and put that in there. Absolutely appreciate the subscription, so thank you very much. That way you can be alerted when I come online. I do try to schedule my shows in advance when I do get live, but I have a lot of ideas for other random shows that I want to do. There's like these little game shows, there's these interactive shows, there's a whole bunch of things that I want to do. So, and some of them may just come spur of the moment, and I may just go live at a moment's notice. So if you're subscribed, you'll definitely get those alerts. So definitely appreciate that. Thank you very much. All right, so whomever else is in the chat, whoever's listening in live, please feel free to put any questions in the chat. Also, if you are listening in and you want something private, you want a private reading, you can absolutely go to my website, thedreamteacher.com. If you want to schedule a session, you just go to appointments. If you have questions in specific with me, you want to contact me, reach out to me in any way, just go to the contact me page. You can send me an email there. That is the best way to get a hold of me. If I'm not live, that's the best way to get a hold of me, is sending me an email through my website. And then I do have hypnotherapy tracks that you can listen to and download. And those are on the download page. You can listen to other of my radio broadcasts as well. That's on the radio page. But I'm going to be revamping the website a little bit, kind of moving things around since I am doing something a little different with live streaming and YouTube here. I'll just be doing something a little bit differently. There was one other thing I wanted to address. Yeah, I have my services page. I try not to do hypnotherapy at a distance, just because there are a lot of things that as a hypnotherapist I'm looking for and watching, when you are being guided into a subconscious state, that I need to pay attention to with a lot of detail. So it's best in person. That way I know that we're moving you into the right frame of mind. Now, once I've worked with you in person, then it's going to be a lot easier to facilitate doing distance hypnosis sessions and hypnotherapy sessions. So I really try to reserve that for moments in person. Other than that, yeah, psychic reading is a lot of fun. I have 30, 60, and 90-minute sessions available to be able to do. The other thing that I have that I hope some people take advantage of is I have a service, and it's like a relationship counsel where I engage and bring both parties of a relationship to have communication with me. And why I really like this is, one, first of all, this has happened to me for a long time, where I would have couples, whether they're friends of friends, people I had just met, come to me and just talk about their relationship, talk about it with me, or talk about this problem or that problem or whichever. Now, I know that there are a lot of people that naturally just like to do that, but it definitely happened frequently for me. And I would end up talking them through some really important moments and help them to get to a whole understanding of each other. So I do facilitate and offer that as well, is a relationship counsel session. If you feel like your partner isn't seeing you the way that you feel that they need to be, if there's a standoff of communication and nobody's able to really get anywhere, you keep running into the same problems, that's why it's advantageous to bring in a third party. And one that I feel that has a psychic or spiritual awareness really allows to dig deep into the emotions, not only why they keep coming up, but the root of them, and figuring out, okay, this keeps happening specifically because of this, and then we can all transform it together. So that is something that I hope that other people do use or take advantage of. But I also know that it's really difficult sometimes to be able to get a partner to enter into some kind of space like that. So however it works, even if it's just for you, I know that there are often times when I'm working with a client and they're speaking with somebody, that they're either interested in or potentially interested in, or even in a relationship with. I oftentimes just wish that I could speak with the person of interest, because I just feel like sometimes all they need is like this little shift of mind, a shift of consciousness or understanding. And I feel like I can help them, with that. But keeping a healthy distance, you cannot impose information onto people if they are not ready and willing. I know a lot of people have experienced that. I've experienced that in my past on these psychic networks that I've worked with, that you can see something so clearly and you just spill out that truth, and that client is not very happy about it because they, maybe they weren't ready to receive that, they didn't want it. So it can be a point of contention between you and the client if you do that. So that's why you always have to meet people where they are, meet them where they're at, and be able to connect with them on that level. Do you feel I'm years from meeting him? Hey, Angie. Okay, I just saw that here. I don't get specific time frames. I do feel like I keep being shown July. It just feels like a summer thing. Like I feel this summer vibe coming up between the two of you when you connect. But it doesn't feel like it's this July. Like it doesn't feel like it's coming up right away. So I feel like it could be about a year. I don't I never claim I have never have claim to the validity of time frames. And what I explain is that when I receive information, when I'm entering into that state of garnering psychic information, the way that this astral, psychic, however you label it, realm works is in a cyclic, energetic nature. Human beings experience time linearly, right? We experience it on a linear plane. So we feel that there's this past, present, and future, right? Although it might look different. I want to facilitate the left being the past. It might look different on my camera, sorry. Past, present, future, right? And so we experience it in a very linear fashion, but that's just the human mind. What's happening is that there are other levels of existence happening outside of the conscious mind. And so it works mostly on cycles and oftentimes seasons. And I've seen, I know the information comes through a lot like this for me between like seasons, like zodiac seasons, or quite literally, the environment. But again, the environment is different in different level or different areas of the earth. For example, I have clients over in Australia, and it's a totally different season and totally different time down there than it is where I am in the United States. So I look at, mostly the zodiac seasons or months, and that's a good detailed way that Spirit gives me timing information. But also, it's also dependent on personal moments. So oftentimes Spirit will say, oh yes, this person is going to get into that relationship when they finally learn to love themselves and disconnect from that healthy relationship, from a past, first love, and they're not even fully disconnected from it, and then they have internalized so many other things because of it, and they're not fully healed. So once they finally heal that and overcome that, then they're going to be able to open their energy and connect with this person. So they often show me circumstantial timing. When if this happens, or when this happens, then this will happen. So that happens often as well, and that's why timing is so difficult for all psychics, I think, because some of them receive information in that similar way. I do believe that there are others out there. It's happened to me a couple times, not often, and that's why I don't claim to have massive accuracy in timing. I mean, I know my feelings, I know my visions, I know what I see, I know what I feel coming up. But it's always dependent on people and their timing of things and when they choose to do things. So that's why I kind of always say it kind of happens in its own time. When this happens, then that's going to be able to happen. Sorry, I need a little bit of a drink. I get a little long-winded, I know. All right, so let's see if there's anything else I want to connect with here. If there's anybody else that does have a question, go ahead again and throw that up in the chat. I appreciate you all being here. It's a lot of fun. I enjoy being able to share myself in this way with you. So thank you for being here as well. It looks like, let's see, so we're Saturday. We just went through a full moon. I have to tell you, I have these things written down here in my little book about my new moon meditations and the things that I want to invest and manifest. So I like to work with the moon in the sense that I think of it like farmers. I know that this was something that people had done in the past, and I don't know if they still do it today. I haven't talked to anybody that works with agriculture often, but I know that they used to work with the cycles and phases of the moon to be able to yield better, stronger or more productive crops. So I love working with the moon in this way. On the full moon is the time to release, let go, cut ties, disconnect, let flow out of yourself, what you may no longer need anymore. And the new moon is all about planting the seeds, not harvesting, that's the full moon. Planting seeds, investing in new ideas, starting some things new. This is such a great time to be able to do that. So we just had our new moon in Aries, and then subsequently our full moon in Libra. So I know a lot of people were feeling quite intense with this full moon in Libra, and I had done I had used my hypnotherapy track because I think the day before I was feeling some intense emotions from everybody around me. I had to go to the grocery store, and there was all sorts of social distancing, and there was all sorts of stress with people that were around. And I came home, and I'm like, okay, I need to center myself. So I listened to my hypnotherapy track, and it allowed me to go in and out of consciousness, like I had told you and mentioned before. And then when that full moon struck, it was just this beautiful release. And then it culminated to the build up of starting this live stream. Even though the first one I did, I don't really encourage you to go listen to it because it's so difficult to listen to because there's like an echo. My camera wasn't even fully in the frame because I was just learning how to use this streaming software. So yeah, it's a little difficult to listen to. But it was just interesting that it came out. And the way that it was like channeled into me, like the date just got thrown into my mind. Oh, that's what I was mentioning about timing before, is sometimes specific numbers will stand out. I wanted to finish this thought real quick, and I got sidetracked before. Sometimes a specific number will stand out, and that can be communicated. So you'll often hear psychics say, I keep seeing the number 7. It could be 7 days, 7 weeks, 7 months, something about 7. I feel like that's a little too broad for me to be able to communicate to my clients. Like, I can't sit here and tell them, oh, it could be 7 days or 7 years from now. That to me is just too broad, and that is not something I want sitting on my mind of my clients, of like, oh, okay, so it could be tomorrow, or it could be when I'm in a whole other different like life. It's just, I like to give my clients solid, reliable, valuable information that they can take and ingest like right now. At the very least, sometimes things come up where it's like a random thought or a vision or idea, and I tell them, okay, if it's not making sense now, hang on to it, and it's likely to make sense, at some point in the future. But what I really feel is important is that it's just important to be honest with timing. And I always tell clients right away whether I pick up something or not. And so like I was with you, Angie, I did feel like it was something July because I kept seeing summertime where things were warm and exciting, and there was just life to be had, and it feels like that translates into the passion that the two of you are going to be able to share into. But I still don't feel it, at least for a year out, about a year out from where we are now. So that's how I derived that timing, was through the understanding of when I saw this merging happening, and the environment that I felt with it, and how it feels in relation to where we currently are right now in this moment, with our mind, and how far away it feels. So that's how I was able to understand that. So as I was saying before, the Aries new moon, so I was planting some important seeds 2.5 weeks ago. I was talking about doing the show, and I really wanted to be able to do the show and do the live stream. And then it was like that date just got thrown into my mind, like, nope, do it this day, Wednesday, right at 3:00. It was just this moment. And so then I had done something with my friend where I ran the astrology natal chart for that exact time, location, and moment. And the chart came out beautiful in relation to my chart. And I really liked the energy that it provoked and interacted with. And even though that first live stream was not the best quality, I'm telling you guys, it pulls something out of me to be able to do this live stream that I'm sure some of you can absolutely relate and understand. It just pulls that passion, it pulls that excitement, it pulls that love from you. And I just absolutely loved it right away. So that's why I'm here. Part of the big reason why I'm here, not only to help other people, but to be able to connect with you and show you who I am, show you myself, my identity, my truth, my authenticity, my genuineness. I very much enjoy connecting on this level. So again, thank you all for being here. I will be scheduling another show for next week. So please subscribe to get that information. I like to do, and I think I might keep it up on Wednesdays, where I kind of look at, and I'll pull cards for like the zodiac, each zodiac sign for that week, to see kind of what's happening in the week to come. I think going based on that week is a good measure of keeping a nice pace for not receiving too much information, but also just having enough to be able to play with, to observe, and to witness, but also to interact with, to really engage with. All right. Well, if there are no other questions, I've got some things to do here on my end, but I appreciate you all being here. Like I said, I will be scheduling a show for next week, so if you are subscribed, then hit that alert button, and it should let you know when I do schedule a show and when it's coming up, so that you know to be here. If you have a question, if you have something going on that you really are needing insight on, and you can't just you're not ready to make the financial commitment to invest into a private session, then coming here is just a great way to be able to engage in those energies. I really feel like that's going to be a beautiful, important thing, to be able to give back. For those of you that are listening in that do want a private session, though, again, you can go to my website, thedreamteacher.com, book that session there. I will be giving out promo codes as well on my live stream. I don't have one for today, but I want to be able to reward the people that come in and tune in and listen, to be able to give them something that, works in their advantage. I guess it's like a reward. I don't know. It feels weird to almost call it like that, but really it's just, for me, a token of my appreciation. I appreciate people being here. I appreciate engaging and interacting on this level. I think, one, not only is it fun, for me, and I feel like fun for the viewers, but it's also a space where I'm able to teach and share and to help others, and to connect with them on this level. So I really want to be able to give something as an appreciation for those of you being here. So I think I'll have one for next show. So tune into that one for the next show, so that you can have a little promo code and a discount on a private session between you and I. If you're wondering what happens in private sessions, you can click over on the services tab on my website, and it'll show you the details and what happens there. Really, they're beautiful. I allow psychic information to be the main basis of how we interact, and how I gain insight into whatever is kind of going on in your life, a situation or a moment, or just life in general. I tap in on that level. I'll even explain to you how a session goes. So what happens is we talk, say hello, we introduce one another, and then right away I connect with your information first. Or I'm sorry, I connect with your energy first. I connect with you. I look at what I feel going on around you, because it's important for every single psychic, everyone. You hear that, everybody? Every single one, to validate their connection. You should not just take a psychic's word as if, oh, I said I'm psychic, so therefore I am. No. You have to be able to validate that connection, because nobody really knows if you're really psychically connecting, or if you're just making something up. If you don't validate the connection, you're not proving to the client, you're not doing your due diligence to show them that you do what you do. I feel like that can alleviate a lot of the difficult interactions that I've seen clients have with others, and I've seen their complaints and their frustrations with investing into a psychic, and then feeling, they could have spent a considerable amount of money to get just some advice that somebody could have just randomly told you, or something you could have told yourself, without feeling the insights of psychic information. So it's super important to have a psychic validate their connection for you. And a real psychic, somebody that's really psychic, is not going to have an issue with that. They're going to be able to do it because it comes seamlessly. It's just natural. So that's how I do it in my private sessions. I first connect with your energy and tell you what I'm feeling around you, what feels pressing on your energy, your mind, consciousness, what feels most important to kind of address and talk to. And then after that, then I kind of allow you to have the floor to guide me to where you want me to look into for the insights or information that you're looking to acquire for your own self. So I validate the connection, I bring up whatever feels important and pressing, and then I allow the floor to be open for you to ask, whatever questions, to allow me to focus on what you want me to focus on, so that you get the information you're looking for. I don't impose anything onto you that you feel uncomfortable with or are not ready with. They're all private. They're private sessions. So your information is not disseminated out there. It's just you and I, unless specified, that another party is going to be involved. All right. So again, if you do explore that, I will be putting these promo codes in these live streams just as an appreciation for all of you listening. So thank you. I will be scheduling my next show. So again, make sure you subscribe. I appreciate you all being here. Thank you again so much. I'm looking forward to doing more and more of these shows. All right, everyone. Thank you for being here. Stay well, and we will catch up soon. All right. Bye-bye.